Ace of Spades here, welcome to Goblin-Inc. Today we're going to talk about Ice Strike, which as you can see is very OP. So how is the build looking like a previous season build? Herald of Ash is doing a lot of the work that Herald of Ice was doing. We are overkilling with Ice Strike, and then based on the overkill damage Herald of Ash pops. Of course, Herald of Thunder and Herald of Ice still contributes to the AoE explosions you are watching on the screen. The main thing I'm using is a combination of ambush, which will double my crit hit chance, with the sunder my enemies from Monk, meaning that when I critical hit, I penetrate all the enemy elemental resistances, and I use a fairly cheap anointment compared to others at least, that is Paranoia, Ire, and Fear, which gives me 80% increased damage with hits against enemies that are full life, and also 50% critical hit chance against enemies that are full life, meaning that to get to 100% critical hit chance is a lot easier thanks to that. So that's the main combo. The plan is to hit them once and kill them. Killing something on the first hit is much better than taking 2 or 3 hits to hit, because if you don't crit, you know, it's 50. If you have a 50% crit chance, you could crit on the 4th hit, maybe on the 1st, but sometimes it's the 1st hit. It just makes the game a lot slower. For bosses, what you want to do, you simply switch close combat to ambush and you're fine. And honestly, I've not been switching gems at all, and bosses are still being melted. I'm running a lot of cool things, and day 1 I leveled 1 to 60. Day 2 I did the tier 1 to tier 15 maps, and with the currency gain from going from tier 1 to 15, I bought all the gear needed to get to tier 15. So it was a natural progression that got me the build. I didn't have to stop to farm more, and in the end things were pretty easy for me. I also want to talk about things I've tried today in day 3 and they didn't work very well. So for example, CI. Let's talk about Grim Fist. Grim Fist was very OP and provided us with a lot of easy defensiveness, easy way to recharge our energy shield, meaning that we had a lot of spare points and things that we can do in the build thanks to that. Now, we can get some energy shield back with Ghost Dance, and Ghost Dance is really strong, but when you have the loss of the energy shield gained from Grim Fist, the new ailment and stun threshold being changed. I'll give you an example. The ailment threshold, which is here, you can find it on your defensive. Is it online? There it is. Ailment protection. Your elemental ailment threshold, so your defense against freeze, chill, that kind of stuff, is based off half of your life. If you have a CI, it's 1. It used to be that they didn't do anything even if you had CI, and you didn't really have to do much. But now you're getting destroyed. So running CI creates huge problem with your ailment threshold, and even the stun threshold. Even by running 2 jewels with 10% additional stun threshold based on energy shield, and also having to invest a lot of points to get to dampening shield for an additional 12%, and then getting more points. Where is it? To get here for asceticism. Still, the stun threshold wasn't as good as me just having a little bit of life. In the end, all of that just to not need chaos resistance. Yes, the chaos immunity is great, but I think that having to spend all those extra points and all those jewel slots for that, in the end, it's not worth it, and it's more of a loss in terms of everything. At least till your gear is uber giga good. So for those reasons, we are not running that. Let's talk a little bit about the importance of talents. So I wouldn't focus really on crit in the beginning, I would focus more on defense. Get as much evasion and energy shield as you can, because remember, Grim Fist. In the beginning, Grim Fist is gone, so like Ghost Dance is your best buddy. You need to have a lot of evasion and a lot of evasion for sure. I have, it's 9,300. I believe it's more when I have quarter stuff. It's 10,000. So it's 700 energy shield regained with Ghost Dance from that. What I did when leveling through my maps, so from tier 1 to tier 15, I started with pretty much no energy shield, right? That's where you start after you level up. So you start getting your evasion and energy shield nodes, and you start to build up your defenses first. And in the start, you tank a lot more with your life than your energy shield, and that's fine. The build still works great with no crit and no yes, you will be smashing. Things like cannibalism and vitality are great, so you can run those support gems on any of your heralds or any of your, spirit buffs. Cannibalism will give you max life, leech, and vitality is passive life regen. I tried to run with convalescence with CI, but it was still garbage. And even with meditate, it still didn't feel as good. I would take meditate for bosses though in the future. Alright, so that's for the start. You want to invest heavily on your evasion and energy shield nodes. Get all of them, so this and this go there. Getting a decent chest, the first thing I would buy with one divine probably would be the chest. You can find a decent one for 10 exalts though. Then after that, here, those things here, I don't have any fire damage at the moment. In the future, we will have a lot of fire damage when we can get access to unique jewels, and depending on your weapon, if you have fire damage on it or not, or a lot of fire damage on rings and other things, then you might be able to ignite bosses. This is kind of a waste thing for me on bosses right now, but it's still 30% damage when I am mapping, and that's fine. But this is a huge chunk of damage there. The attack speed, I've tested to not take attack speed and to manipulate my talent trees to have the attack speed of my eye strike to be exactly 0.25. And why would I do that? Attack time is 0.24. So the Tempest Bell, the shockwave, can only be procced every 0.25 seconds, right? So after I proc my eye strike the first time, if my attack speed is 0.24, it means that I will hit before Tempest Bell can proc again. Now you'd think that having 0.25 attack speed would be okay, but because the third eye strike has a different speed, the attack per second, as you can see, is faster, then it's not really possible to slow down eye strike enough. I think that you lose too much DPS. In the end, I decided to just go as much attack speed as possible because that also builds combos faster, and it felt better that way than to go really slow attack speed. So in case you're trying to make your eye strike to be slower than the shockwave, I don't think it's worth it. Even if it ends up being a DPS increase on paper, it doesn't play well. And if it doesn't play well, you're gonna be dying because you're not putting the bell down and you're not hitting enemies as quickly, so you're taking more damage. When enemies get frozen on your first hit and die on the first hit, speed is everything. Let's go over our gems for the skills. You can ignore quarter staff strike. So Wind Dancer. Wind Dancer, we have Wind Wave, Unbreakable for stun threshold, very important, and Pin. Tempest Bell, Rage. Bludgeon, because when you knock back enemies, it increases the area of effect of the bell. Persistence and Overabundance combo together. One gives you limit, the other one increases your duration that was reduced by Overabundance. We have Ice Strike with Martial Tempo, Ice Bite. So whenever you freeze an enemy, you get damage, and that works against bosses. Primal Armament and Ambush. So Primal Armament, as you can see, is a huge chunk of damage. It's pretty good. It's almost 20%. Ambush, as I already explained, is very important to the combo. Not something you have to worry right away when you're low tier maps, but eventually you'll build up into that. This is your main movement ability, which is Sleep Slam. Shield Charge, I'm still using it because I have an Unsettling, but you can remove this one. Ghost Dance. We have Fast Forward and Herbalism on it. Herbalism is really not needed. You can take it off if you don't need it and you need more spirit. We have Herald of Ice with Innervate, Magnified Effect, and Cold Mastery. The reason we have Innervate here is because you're killing things that are shocked, so you can still proc Innervate from Herald of Ice. That's perfectly fine. Herald of Ash is fully support. We have less freeze duration, increased mana regeneration, and precision. All those things cost spirit, and all those things can be removed. They are not very important. So even if your gear isn't great, you can still run the same things that I have. The ones you really want is Earl of Ice, Ash, and Wind Dancer. And Ghost Dance, of course. And charyula with Sniper Mark, Hypothermia, and Maim. This will need to be reworked. This is great for you guys. You're starting without the penetration of the third. You don't have the third ascension yet, so you're not gonna have the penetration. The Hypothermia is really strong for bosses. And you know, Sniper Mark has a little bit more damage. Herald of Thunder with Lightning Mastery, Blind, and you're holding the Close Combat Gem for the swap with Ice Strike. For the Ascension, the first thing you want to get is, well, low level. When you don't have a good chest, you want to get I Am the Thunder. Then the second one, if you don't have a good chest, you want to get I Am the Blizzard. If you have a good chest, Lead Me Through Grace, and then, you know, when you get enough crit, you get Sunder My Enemies. And that's the progression of your Ascensions. And lastly, I'm gonna be getting either a Shell Rage or I will go for Meditate. I have not yet decided on that one. Let's go for the gear. My staff, you go for whatever has the highest DPS, but it needs to have critical hit chance. So make sure that it has extra critical hit chance on it. I have Ring. Try to get as much Chaos Rest as you can. Don't try to get the damage on your rings. This one was really lucky. I slammed it with Exalts and I got 2 extra rests and 1 damage roll from 3 Exalts. So that was a pretty sick roll from that. Those wraps, so for the gloves, last item you get, remember that, you want to get the melee skills and you want to get whatever stat and resistances you need. Don't care about getting extra damage. Don't try to get damage on gear. Focus on capping your resistances and getting a lot of ES. Ton of ES evasion on helmet and on boots, guys. Even without move speed. You can move with your abilities. Ice Strike moves, Shield Charge moves, and Lip Slam moves. So I decided that I'd rather clear T15 maps for the time being and then buy a better boots later. So I'll go for high evasion, high energy shield. Chest piece, as much ES and evasion as you can. Belt, you buy it last with the gloves to finish up your resistances. And amulet, getting something with like 70 energy shield and 40% increase maximum energy shield. And then something else on the amulet is great. That's what I would do. Maybe Chaos Rest, like Chaos Rest and energy shield. I noticed Chaos Rest is very expensive on belts and boots, but it's quite cheap actually on your amulet by comparison of what people will make you pay for that. And of course, I hold items with strength in my offhand so that I can use Shield Charge and Lip Slam. They give me strength and they don't really do anything else better than that. I mean, the shield does have block, so there's that. The build is really nice to play and I'm having a lot of fun. I will definitely make another run of optimization and get some unique items and showcase how the build is gonna be fully fleshed out for who wants to spend more money in a couple of days. Hope you guys enjoyed it, and I will see you guys on my next video update.